Welcome to Triangle BNI. Today's show is brought to you by Oak City Tech. We talk every week, folks. The digital world is loud and crowded. So you need a professional like Amnon and his team at Oak City Tech to help you get found by future clients. It will help you grow your business. If you go to oakcitytech.com, tell them what you're looking for. I know they will be able to help you. Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Manning. Each week on Triangle BNI, we bring you a local small business success story. If you are not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International, the world's largest networking organization. Our little slice of heaven here in the Triangle is Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill. Each week, about 30 chapters and almost 600 members get together to help each other grow our business. And our small business success story today is Jill Dean Riggsbee. She is the broker and owner at NC Pro Realty Group, brokered by eXp Realty. Jill, good morning. How are you?
Am great, Mike. Thank you so much for having me. How are you this morning?
Doing good, doing good. Glad to have you here. You and I met, golly, we're going on at least a year, maybe a year and a half. We met in a cafeteria in Wake Forest. I
Right.
remember that, doing some training. We've not talked since, and that's one of my favorite things about this show is either meeting someone new or catching up with somebody I didn't know, just to learn more about them because it's all about stories here on this show. So we're glad to have you here today. Jill is in RD09, the Heart of Business. They meet Thursdays at 9 a.m. in Wake Forest. Right now it's on Zoom, but in Wake Forest at the White Street Brewing Company. How's the group doing on Zoom, Jill?
Wow, we're doing okay. We became an official chapter 2 weeks before we shut down for COVID. Yep. And the chapter had been in place for quite some time, a year and a half, and so we became official, and then we locked down and went on Zoom, and we are now, I believe, at 23 members. We have grown, so we're doing pretty well.
Do you guys find some time to get together between meetings, either on Zoom happy hour types, or just getting out and having a one face-to-face, one-to-one, things like that?
Many of us do face-to-face one-to-ones, and or we met at a coffee shop or something like that, or gathered at someone's house in small numbers. So several of us have done that. There's some members, we don't see for 6, 8, 9 months at a time, but we're looking forward to getting back together as a chapter in person. We're working towards the way in which we're voting, to plan to do that as a chapter. I think we're almost there.
Yep, I think most everybody's ready to get together, and BNI is fine. There's some conversation going on now, 4 different ways to meet. We won't get into that too much, but it's good that we're getting to that point to finally have that conversation because I know a lot of folks are missing each other,
Yes.
and people are starting to get out more, which is good. Are you getting out more? Well, you've always had to meet with clients, so that's always been there, all the protocols and house showings and everything like that. But are you starting to get out a little bit more, and are you seeing other people get out more?
Yes. So professionally, we've been an essential worker through this in real estate. So I have met with clients. I've also done virtual meetings, on a professional side. Personally, we're just starting to get out more. We're vaccinated. We're planning to take a trip to Austin, Texas in about 3 weeks. I'm excited about that. And we are very, very careful. We go to restaurants and try to stay safe. But my husband's parents are in a independent living facility, so we are so mindful of that and being, just taking extra precautions as much as we can. But we're getting out, and especially with the weather turning nice, it's a very good thing.
Well, good. As a realtor, it just seems like every 6 months or every year, we thought we had said, wow, this is the craziest it's ever been
Yeah,
until the next 6 months and the next year.
yeah.
But Jill, this market is in what is it, like the 200 to about 350 price range? It's just stupid.
It's unbelievable. It's heartbreaking at times to represent a client that's buying a home, especially a first-time home buyer, that's all qualified and ready to go. And competing in this market is just absolutely uh, unbelievable. We've never seen anything like it. It's the amount of homes on the market right now is the lowest it's ever been. And in selling a home, I mean, there's no better time to sell than right now. So you're going to get the very best price you've ever seen in the history right now for your home. Although you'll be buying if you're staying in the area, at the top of the market, it's a wash. It's still a wash. Um, but the competition and the amount of due diligence money and things like that you have to put down. Due diligence. This is a due diligence state in North Carolina. You don't get that money back, and for someone to put up, we had a closing at the closing attorney's office that I use most frequently, Jackson Law. Um, based in Raleigh, also moving to Wake Forest soon. They have two other locations throughout the area. They had a client with $100,000 due diligence the other day. And you don't get that money back. You get credit for it at closing as a buyer, but that's money that you're willing to put up and risk. So it's very tough.
I had heard 42,000 the other day, and I thought that number was staggering enough, but I can't imagine. Well, it basically comes down to there's no supply, first of all. And
Right.
I've heard stories about 15-minute showing windows in a house.
That's right. Yeah, I for my listings, I don't do that. There's just no way. I feel like there will be overlap, people trying to run in and out. So the overlap is risky from a health perspective. So I don't do 15-minute showings, but I've been on the buyer side and experienced that with my buyers. And they do make decisions in 15 minutes. They do make decisions on buying a house also sight unseen, not even seeing it. Um, so that's these coming soon homes that you might see on the market is a marketing uh, plan that a lot of realtors use to say to the market, hey, this home is going to come on the market soon, get ready. And many of those homes sell before they even get on the market. So, and that's a sight unseen because you're not allowed as a agent or a buyer to see the home when it's in that status. You're not allowed to. It's the rules of our multiple listing service.
It is unreal what people go through to find the house they want. So we always like to educate on the show. So some tips for buyers who find the house they really want and there's really no second choice because there's nothing else that wowed them. So what are some things they can do, Jill, because you never guarantee you can get the house, but what are some things they can do to make their chances better of getting the house they want?
Sure. So, number one, don't have a house you have to sell in order to buy the house. Be financially prepared to buy that house regardless of whether or not you sell your current home if you have one. Contingent offers are just not considered in most cases right now. Number two, have cash on hand. As I mentioned, $100,000 is a bit out there, but have 30, 40, $50,000 on hand, depending upon your price range. If you're looking at a house under 250, have 10 to $15,000 on hand, ready for due diligence and earnest money. And when a home comes in coming soon or comes active on the market, run as fast as you can with your agent to that house. Work with a very qualified agent that knows how to book the showings when they come available. Because if you miss the boat, sometimes in 20 minutes you can't book a showing for that house, and it will go under contract and you've already missed it just by not being able to see it if you're not on top of it.
Are
So
you to the point where you have to walk in the house? If your buyer really likes everything they've seen prior to walking in the house, are you walking in the house with a contract ready to leave it?
well, we can't leave the contract there, but I'm walking with the contract, hand writing them sometimes.
Okay.
Normally I would say, okay, I'll go back to the office and write up the contract and send it in. And that may take me an hour, to do that, depending upon where the location is of the house. And that's sometimes too risky. An hour is too long to wait.
And
So we
when
walk it
you're
through.
walking, yeah, so when you're walking through the house, writing down everything, can you literally then hand it to the seller's agent before you leave?
Well, the seller's agent is not present
Okay.
most of the time. I've never seen a seller's agent present, but I can leave there and go take it, deliver it, hand deliver it, or run back, scan it, send it in. Um, there's all kinds of things that we're doing. Thinking outside of the box
Yeah.
is the key right now.
Is there an advantage to building in that price range?
There can be. The new construction is what we're seeing there is plywood, for example, in building a home last year was $7 a sheet, and now it's $47 a sheet. And so the cost of building materials and commodities have went sky high due to lack of inventory of those products because of COVID and plants that have shut down or are on limited staff. So, like resale, you will typically buy a new construction home and pay more money than you've paid. But the beauty of buying new construction is that you can sell your home. It'll usually allow you time to do that and have that liquid cash. But builders are also now just building a spec home without allowing buyers to pick their own countertops and paint colors and flooring and all the things that you love to do when you buy new construction. They're doing all that for you and saying, take it or leave it. And some are up for the highest bid. They'll build a spec home and say, up for the highest bid, or if you want this house, you can take it, but we can't tell you what the final price will be until 60 days before closing.
One thing I have learned from the wonderful realtors in the triangle, and this is no indictment on builders, they have their business model. But even if you are building a house, please go find a realtor not associated with the builder, because the builder's realtor works for the builder as they should. So if you find an expert like Jill, Jill is working for you. So when you go build a house, you want somebody like Jill on your side, so they're looking out for you. And I did not know that till I got involved with getting to know some realtors. I had no idea. I just thought, wow, they'll look out for me.
Yes, that is a common misconception. We work so hard to educate the public about that. I love my builder rep friends and colleagues. I depend on them as well for information. They represent as an advocate for the builder. Their fiduciary responsibility is to get the most money they can for the builder. And they don't discount the price just because you might not be using a realtor. They do not. So it's very important to have your own advocate. We can negotiate things like fences, appliances, blinds sometimes that you might not even think about. And we have knowledge about that community, that particular builder. We set up pre-drywall inspections. We're looking out for that house from the time it goes on to foundation till the time you walk through the door. So there's a there's so many reasons to have your own advocate with you at all times.
Yes, please, please, please find an expert realtor that know, because that's why we hire people to do things like that. The CPA, the lawyer, the realtor, we're hiring that area of expertise. Jill's number is going to be on this screen the whole show. So please, please reach out to somebody like her that will have your best interest at heart. Because like I said, I did not know that beforehand, and it's good information to know. because the builder's realtor is working for the builder as they should.
Yes.
That's their business model. Your business model as, John and Joan Smith Inc. should be, let's get Jill on our side to make sure our business runs well.
Yes.
So please do that. We are here with Jill Dean Riggsbee, broker owner at NC Pro Realty Group, powered by eXp Realty. Today's show is brought to you by Oak City Tech. One of the things you can get from Oak City Tech, folks, is an email campaign. Do people know what you do and where to find you? An email campaign will help them learn more about you. It's pretty easy to set up, not difficult, but again, you want it in the hands of experts. So when you meet new people, this will help you keep in contact with current clients and future clients. They'll be able to help you with that. Go to oakcitytech.com. Tell Drago that we said hi. All right, Jill, I love doing research on guests coming up, and here's our biggest and best connection. We both got married in Austin, Texas.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Now, let me date this a little bit. My wife and I got married in 1986 in Austin, Texas, at the old Bergstrom Air Force Base, which is now the municipal airport.
Yeah.
Way back when. Now, you got married. Your anniversary was this past Friday on the 23rd. So happy anniversary, 7 whole years. Those are the easiest 7.
Thank you.
How did you come to get married in Austin, Texas?
Well, first of all, obviously this is my second marriage, and the Austin connection is I'm an Army brat, and I grew up primarily in Fort Hood, Texas, also known as the armpit of the world. And I played in a band in Austin when I was 18. And an all-girl band, kind of back in the days when the Go-Go's were big. And how we survived that, I'll never know. But that's how I got to love Austin. Now, that was in 1983. And Austin has changed a lot, since then. But that's where I first fell in love with Austin. And anything to get me out of Killeen and Fort Hood was awesome. So 11 years ago, I had breast cancer. And I began to go to Austin for my cancerversary every year. And there's a band there called the Spasmatics. And they play Wednesday nights at Cedar Street Courtyard. And they're an 80s cover band. And they look really weird. And I fell in love with them. And so I would go fly into Austin on a Wednesday and come home on a Saturday for the Spasmatics. So when I met my husband, he started to go with me. And when we got engaged and decided, well, we would get married, he's from Durham. And we knew if we got married here locally, we'd have 300 people we'd have to invite. And we just did not want to do that. And we felt like, it was a good idea to have a destination wedding. So we found Chapel Dulcinea near Salt Lick Barbecue in Austin, which is beautiful outdoor chapel and free. And we got married on a Wednesday night and had our reception at Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill, and then went to see the Spasmatics. And we typically go every April. We didn't go last year because of COVID, obviously. And we just got our second vaccine the other day. So we're going to take off again May 12th and go back to Austin.
Very good. My wife moved there in 82. She graduated from what was Southwest Texas. It's now Texas State. She is not happy about that name change, but that's another show. And I moved there in 83. I went to work at the University of Texas in the women's athletic department doing sports information. Mm-hmm. And we lived there, I think, till 88. Our oldest son, named Travis, go figure.
Oh, Travis Downey.
Yeah. Becky and I met at the Oasis restaurant.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And the food in Austin, Texas, folks, if you've never been there, please go. Our favorite is the Oasis, but our favorite restaurant is Kirby Lane.
Kirby Lane. I'll have to check that out.
We would always go do breakfast there, and they give you an omelet this size and 2 waffles that go with the omelet that size. And I was 22 when I moved there. So I'm like, this is heaven, right?
Heaven. Yeah. Yeah.
And then Matt's El Rancho. for Tex-Mex food. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Well, Chewy's was the first,
Yes.
first place Chewy's was. It's so crazy to see it here in the Raleigh area now. It's at North Hills and
Yep.
other locations, and I am just, blown away because that used to be a definite stop, especially in the early days when I would go all the time. Would be Chewy's, and yeah, I love me some Austin. I tell you, if I could live in
Yep.
two places, it would be there and here.
I wonder what was the name of your all girls band?
It was called Tantrum.
Okay. I wonder
You cannot find us on the internet, thank God.
I
Uh,
wonder if we ever saw you play down on 6th Street.
it was on 6th Street. It's now a tattoo parlor there.
Okay. Where did you
Um,
play?
it was a place called Party.
Hmm. Okay.
It was a small venue. It's every 6 steps, I think,
Mm.
is a
Yes.
different place there,
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
But it was a short-lived, I mean, we did that only for about 4 months.
Okay.
And we scraped together $800 and cut 20 records. And, you know, one girl went to jail and one girl got married, and that was it for the band.
Now, of those 20 records, how many did you sell? How many did you give
We
away?
didn't sell any of them. We didn't sell any of them. We gave them away. I didn't even have my own. I'm a drummer, and I didn't even have my own set. I borrowed somebody's snare drum. Oh, I had a snare drum. I borrowed somebody's bass and a hi-hat, and that's how we did it.
Now, on a fair scale of 1 to 10, how was the sound?
We thought we sounded pretty good, and we had pretty good, crowd response and things. I would say really we were looking back in hindsight, we were probably a 3. At the time, we thought we were a 9.
How many people in the band?
4. There were
How
4
did
of
you
us.
get together?
Uh, there were 2 girls in Killeen that I knew. Not that and I didn't even go to school with them. I just knew them from hanging out with other bands. And one girl was in Austin, and one girl came up from Lubbock. Long way.
Yeah, my wife is an Air Force brat, and her dad was a weather wing commander, and they spent time at a couple Army bases. So they did spend time at Fort Hood for
Yeah,
about a year. So
yeah.
at Copper's Cove,
Oh,
isn't that near
Copper's Cove.
there? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we lived in Copper's Cove for a short time, and I
Yep.
was there from 4th grade through high school.
Oh my, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Except for
so good.
one year my dad went to Korea for a year. We went back home to Tennessee for that one year in 7th grade. But other than
Yeah.
that, I was there the whole time.
And my wife did the same thing. Her dad was he went to Vietnam for a year, and
Okay.
he was from South Texas, and they went to live with his mom in South Texas for a year for that very reason. Yeah.
Right.
Which is yeah, very interesting. He shipped out on Christmas Day one year and thankfully came back and is still, kicking and screaming today. Great stories.
That's
Great
great.
stories then.
Yeah.
So our other connection, if you see my power T here. Now you are from Crossville, and
Yeah.
we say it Crossville.
Crossville.
There now, correct my memory. I'm a graduate of the University of Tennessee. I grew up here in Raleigh, but graduated from Tennessee.
Hmm.
Dated a girl for a couple of years, lived in Nashville.
Okay.
Now, the I-40 trip was easy from Knoxville to Nashville, but either Crossville or Cookville was the speed trap. Which one was that? Do you remember?
Oh gosh. Probably probably somewhere
Yeah,
right between the two. They're not too far from each other,
yeah. But
20,
I was always
27.
told there was a speed trap, so slow down. I just can't remember which one of those towns it was. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but do you enjoy growing up there?
Well, because my dad was in the army, I didn't grow up there very long. We left there when I was 6 and went to Fort Knox, Kentucky for a while,
Oh,
and then went to Germany for 3 years.
where to in Germany?
Kitzingen,
Okay, my wife graduated high school in Heidelberg.
Heidelberg. Okay.
Yeah.
So this was nearer to Würzburg.
Okay.
So there were 2 army bases there at the time, Larson and Harvey. Now there's only one, but I was there from age 7 to almost 11, and then we went directly to Fort Hood. So I didn't grow up there. All my family, I was the only one that really left, from my immediate family and my cousins and all of that. So I would love to go back in the summer. I would spend with my grandparents, and it at the time was like a Norman Rockwell town.
Yeah.
My family owned a canning company, and uh, my uncles owned a radio station. My father had started in the radio business very young. He used to transmit. He built a transmitter and transmitted to the neighbors. That's how he started. And so I would love to go back there. And it was a town of like 3,000 people. My uncle was the mayor. And so I don't go back very often now, but I still have fond memories of there.
If your uncle was the mayor of a small town, that means he had to be an awesome storyteller.
He was, and an awesome businessman. You know, he was really well regarded, kind of quiet guy actually, and but had was well known for his integrity.
Did you ever have any chance to go into the family business, the radio business?
No, by the time they sold it and moved on, I was probably, I don't know, 16, 17, and I was living in Texas. I had not even considered it, but I think looking back, I probably would had. It was my dad's legacy was really something. I have some wonderful recordings of him. I know a guy named John Ruth, who Big John. I don't know if you know him. He's a DJ on beach music radio here locally, and he took my old reel to reels and recordings and put them on CD for me. And this is back when DJs did their own commercials. And when Sprite came out, go down to Mitchell's drugstore and get you a Sprite. Just I was fascinated by all of that. But
Oh
you know,
yeah, back in the day, excuse me, back in the radio day, yeah, there was the DJ was it, and
yeah,
it's funny looking back at certain either people or industries in their window, massive celebrities were the local DJs.
oh yeah, yeah. They very well known, and they were like they ran the town parades.
Mhm.
They were it. Everything was live, and the girls would go crazy. Um, you know, he married my mom very young, and I think a lot of women were upset in town that my dad got married. So yeah, those were some
Yeah.
amazing days, weren't they?
Oh, big time. I loved radio. My degree in from Tennessee is in broadcasting. I just knew I was gonna do college football play by play for life, and
Oh,
never even got into it because life happens, and I have no regrets or anything, but a huge fan of radio. I love baseball on radio, and Becky and I have 2 boys, and when we would take trips to go visit family, I just told them, get in the car, go to sleep because I wanted control of the radio. And when I would drive from Knoxville to Raleigh while I was in school, when you go over through the mountains and
hmm,
it's a clear night, I could pick up hockey in St. Louis, baseball in Cincinnati, football in New Orleans. It was awesome. I just love radio. It
that's
just,
right.
yeah, it was fun. So going back to Germany,
Mhm.
did you enjoy the time over there? You were young, but did you
Yeah.
enjoy it?
I loved it, and we did not live on base at the army base. We were we were the only family what you call lived on the economy. That's what it was called. We lived in an apartment above a bank. So if you were a military family and you didn't live on base, you lived on the economy. And I loved it, and I learned to speak German very well. All my friends were German, and so I would translate, for my parents. And the food, I remember walking to the bakery. We lived right across the street from a park. And that's really where I started getting my analyzation head came in. And this is a segue story really into real estate. I would sit in a window and count the cars that would come by our apartment and write down their license plate numbers. And then I would figure out from there how many times per week that car came by our apartment by their license plate number. And that, uh, anyway, ended up being a start in my head, anyway, of how I like to do comparative analysis in real estate. I go a little step beyond. It's a little freaky how I do comps. I'm just fascinated by the whole thing. And it started there when I was 8 years old, sitting in that window counting cars and license plates.
I always enjoy firsts on the show, and Jill, that is a
That's the
first. I've never
first.
had anybody on here that did that. I like that a lot because it'll probably help us roll into something here in a second. We are here with Jill Dean Riggsbee, broker owner of North Carolina Pro Realty Group, brokered by EXP Realty. Jill is in RDO 9. They meet Thursday mornings at 9 a.m. In Wake Forest. Right now it's by Zoom, but hopefully shortly some sort of in-person meeting again. So if you're in the Wake Forest area, want to meet some good small business owners in a chapter that's growing, please go see them. Today's show is brought to you by Oak City Tech. You need a website, folks. The business card is gone these days. When people meet you, first place they go usually is check out your website to see if you're legit. So if you don't have a website, they're going to think, I just met somebody told me all this stuff and their company doesn't even exist. You don't need a ton of bells and whistles on a website, but you need a place for people to go to understand what your business is about, to learn more about you. So go to oakcitytech.com. They will be able to help you do that. All right, Jill. Another one of the reasons why I enjoy BNI, first of all, it's taught me to shop local.
Yes.
I have my banker's cell phone number. I have my insurance person's cell phone number. Not a problem. I also love the people in BNI for all the other things they do. And
Mhm.
you have another company. It is called Ideal Hospitality Procurement Group. Did I get that correct?
You did.
All
Yes.
right.
Yes.
Um, please explain a little bit on that because here's what I know reading, doing some research. It's hospitality procurement consulting, and you help businesses with hotel products.
Right. So,
Tell us a little bit about that and how that got started.
so I spent 35 years in the hospitality industry. I've had my real estate license for 8 years, but I was in that business for a long time. And I've always stayed involved in the business. You know, when you've done something practically your whole life. Well, when I tell people I'm 35 years in it, if you don't know me, I often say I started when I was 7. If you're doing math, but so I when I left the company I had been with for 16 years, which was Avendra. Avendra was formed by Marriott, Hyatt, Club Corp, Fairmont Hotels, and they combined all their purchasing, everything the hotels buy, food, room operations, amenities, engineering supplies, and created a leveraged buying program. And so my plan was to do real estate full time for a long time. But as I mentioned, I had had breast cancer, and I had a hard time leaving my health insurance and taking that leap until I was done with some medication treatment that I was on. So when that time came, I left and went full time into real estate. But that business was all up and running and under a different name. So we help hotels optimize their buying, how they buy, and we help companies that have a product that's suitable for hotels to purchase. That's something that's innovative and fresh in the market. We help them get it in front of the right people at hotels. So I have a team that kind of runs all of that.
Can you give us an idea of a couple of products that are now in hotels that you help broker the deal for?
Sure. So there's a technology company that is a that allows consumers, when you make a hotel reservation, instead of giving that hotel your credit card number, which you always do, by the way, the payment goes through this technology, and it's encrypted in the hotel and the brand, whatever brand it is. It could be Marriott or Hyatt or Sheraton or any brand. They never see your credit card number. So all these fraud things that happen where your credit card numbers are hacked into by these hackers. This happens to multi-billion-dollar companies all the time. This helps to stop that, and it helps hotels to limit the chargebacks that they get. So our company helps to put that product out to the hospitality industry.
Now, you're rather close to your CPA based on my intelligence that I've done on this. So we're going to get to that in a second.
Mhm.
But your husband, Chuck, you guys just celebrated 7 years. One of my favorite questions on the show to ask is, how did you two meet? And do you both tell the story the same way?
We do, because it's quite the story. We met, I was in real estate school. And let me just tell you, this was in pre licensing. Uh, Real estate license in North Carolina is the hardest license to get in North America. It's very hard. So I was in school and I got a email from a friend of mine who said, I've been thinking about you and I'd like for you to consider meeting one of my friends. And he sent me a list of 16 guys and a whole bio on each guy, and then a whole nother paragraph on why that guy might be perfect for me. And
Wait,
so
he wrote that paragraph for all 16 people?
all 16 of them,
Dang.
all 16 of them. And when this came through, of course, I'm supposed to be studying, but I see it on my phone come through, and I get enough of a glimpse to know I have got to go to the restroom and read this right now. So I raise my hand, teacher, I have to go to the restroom. I go read it. And after reading all of them, my initial sort of knee jerk reaction was, and I replied to him, I would be interested in meeting Chuck Riggsbee. And 4 days later, Chuck called me and he had stalked me on Facebook and I had stalked him, and we met and had dinner at Bricks, and that's how it started.
What was it about the write up of Chuck that made you narrow it down to just Chuck?
He said he said about him, he said, Chuck Riggsbee, he said, I call him Chuckles. He said, happiest guy I know. He said, he's been single for a long time. So I think he's pretty happy with that. He goes to church. He said he sings in the church choir, but he didn't. He didn't sing in the church choir. And he said he played tennis or something. And so it was the happy part that got me. I was in the same exact boat. I was single and happy. I owned my house. My son was in college. I was having a great time with my girlfriends. I had already done the dating thing. I didn't love it so much, and I was just going to be single. And that's what happened. And then we got engaged about a year later. So
Now, the other question I ask about husband and wife teams that own or run a business together, I only have two questions. They're very simple. What do you talk about at the end of the business day, and who breaks the tie?
whew, um, so we try not to talk daily about business. I think he would prefer that we did. He likes to be in the know of everything that's going on, just out of general curiosity, not really for business purposes. And when I'm at the end of my day, I like to shut it down. I like to just be home especially when you work from home. Um, so he sends me my reports monthly. And so we have a monthly meeting on the P&L. He's my no guy.
Good.
Everybody needs a no guy. Um, so we do it that way, and he tells me, what I'm doing great and what I should work on, and I trust him, and that we keep business to that, and the rest that we talk about is just really like sharing about our day.
I uh I agree with you on the no person. And when I do as a consulting director for BNI, when I'm meeting with chapters and we're talking about different things, every time it comes to who should be on the membership committee, I tell them, and I'm a huge Bond fan, so I tell them you have to have a doctor no on membership. Otherwise, the nicest people in the chapter are not good for membership because they just can't say no. They want everybody to come in.
Yes.
But
Yeah,
you need that one person that's honest, and when they tell you no, you better believe them and act on it.
that's right. That's right. It's a really good point. Yeah. Most CPAs are no guys.
Mm.
And he doesn't do taxes, my husband. He just does small business accounting. He gets everything ready for the tax guy. So he's very focused on just the P&Ls of a small or medium sized business. He has about 40 clients right now.
Okay. Is he working from home as well?
He does, but he also goes a couple of days a week to clients' offices on location. So, but other than that, yeah, he works
All
from
right.
home.
Can you tell me, is there a good reason why one of your dogs is named Ponzi?
Oh, yeah. So this is a great story. So his real name is Ponzi Pinot Noir. There's a uh, there's a vineyard in Oregon Ponzi wine is a Pinot Noir. And so 6 months later, after I got him, is when the whole Ponzi scheme happened with Bernie Madoff. But so everybody thinks he's named after that, but he's really named after a wine.
I figured there was a good story because it couldn't have been just that. So I, I do like that. And according to your bio, do you play the drums every day?
So I had a break there for a while, but I'm getting back to the everyday. It's a great outlet, and sometimes it's 10 minutes, and sometimes it's 2 hours. So it's better when no one's here.
Hmm?
So if Chuck is home, um, I try not to play too long if he's home because it's in a loft and it echoes. And I don't play loud, but I turn the music up really loud. I don't use headphones. So
How are the skills these days, and what's your go-to song?
the skills are better these days because I have a real set. I finally got a real drum set about 4 years ago. And I got lessons because I really, I was in band my whole life, but I was in marching band. I was a marching band freak. So Dave Albert, who is a incredible percussionist, was the band director of Leesville Road High School, and he was my son's band director. So I got to know him through there. He's since retired and plays in jazz bands all over. But and he studied under Buddy Rich. He's fantastic. So he helped me pull it together. Um, so I really like, gosh, my go-to song is probably Hotel California. Hmm.
I like that. Are you a singer as well?
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. My husband is.
When you do go somewhere and there is karaoke night, do you sing a song, and what is that song?
I have done that, and I only will do it with someone else, and that's Paradise by the Dashboard Light.
Oh, you have just hit on two of my favorite songs, Jill. I love both of those. They are so good. The other reason I enjoy doing this show is people get to know fellow BNI members, but it's what they do outside of BNI that really makes it special. You are the founder of Triangle Breast Cancer Survivors and Supporters Network.
Mhm.
Love that. My mom was had cancer twice, beat it the first time. It got her the
Mhm.
second time. Yep.
Oh.
But love the work you do. So please tell us about that and how that came about. I assume I know, but I'd love to hear the story.
Oh, I just got chill bumps. That's wonderful about your mom. Just being a breast cancer survivor makes you very, very grateful in a way that I think I needed that in my life. And I used to often say, if I didn't have breast cancer, I wish I would have, because it really made me very, very grateful. And it also taught me to find ways to live. I needed the support groups that were there to kind of talk about what you were going through, but I wanted to create Triangle Breast Cancer Survivors and Supporters Group for those that wanted to go have fun, you know, and get some education, but do things like go to a restaurant, go skydiving, go, do things that are really living. We used to meet in person, a lot of us, when it was small. We used to, we would meet in person and go do things. And nowadays it's mainly a Facebook group, and I really need to do better at it, actually. But with what I do for that as well is every transaction with my company, we provide $50 towards breast cancer research to Susan G. Komen or American Cancer Society, and it's client's choice.
Good.
So,
Good. I know that's gives you great joy doing that, but it's something we all search for, is that balance,
right,
because you can only
balance.
work so much, right?
Yeah, 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 it is balance. But those are really the important things in life,
Mhm.
is just to be grateful, um, help each other, love each other, and live your life.
If somebody wanted to know more about that group, how would they find it?
It's a Facebook group, and the link to that is also on my NC Pro Realty Group business page. Um, I don't talk a lot about the donation that we do. I'm mentioning it now. I find it hard to talk about that because I don't want to appear to be the girl that's capitalizing on breast cancer. So my marketing company disagrees, but it's there. And if you know anyone that is going through this, uh, please, go to the group. They can reach out to me personally with questions. I take people to appointments for their wig fittings, or sit with them if they're able to, for chemo, things like that.
I would, for what it's worth, I would agree with your marketing company. It humanizes things, and people make those. We buy people. We connect with people that we know or feel like we know. So I understand why you don't, but I agree with the marketing company. I think that's very powerful and would be another reason for people to connect with you.
Right.
So
Thank you.
that's my 5-second business coach talk there real quick. Before we go, you had mentioned earlier that you learned German while you're over in Germany.
Oh, yeah.
Is your German still good?
No.
It's
I
funny.
can ask where the playground is, and that's about it.
uh, It's funny you didn't mention that on your Facebook page. It showed you were bilingual, but it did mention German, Jill. It mentioned English and Pig Latin. Really? You
Yeah.
gotta you gotta tell me why Pig Latin's on there.
No, didn't we all do Pig Latin when we were younger? Ike May,
SCA.
ADO Ray.
I
Yeah,
just I love that on there, so I figured there was a good story to it.
right. So
Uh,
funny. Yeah.
okay, so your Pig Latin's still a little bit better than your German, right?
It is. I wish I would have kept it up. I'm really mad at myself for that. You do lose it. If you learn something when you're young, you will lose it if you
That's
don't keep
true.
it up.
That's true.
Yeah.
What is the best thing about being a realtor?
You know, there's nothing that beats the excitement of somebody purchasing or selling the largest asset that they'll have, and especially when it goes smooth and right. That's you become an advocate in so many ways, and sometimes you're a counselor, and sometimes you become almost like family, to them. I mean, the clients that I have are still my friends, and So you're meeting a lot of people, and um, that's the best thing is the relationship connections that you make, and how you're really helping someone walk the walk when they may be really nervous, and you're taking a lot of that off their plate, by some of the things that you do. And that's what life is really all about, is helping each other, and doing all that you can to make their transaction easier. So, and I love houses. I love, interior design is one of my backgrounds as well. I love all of that. So
And while buying a house is a very exhilarating time of our lives, it's also a very stressful time of our
yeah,
life.
it is. It is. And there's a lot of moving parts. There's deeds of trust, and there's lots of documents, and lots of inspections, and there's a lot of nervous time all the way through it. But when you can really just take over some of that, and you have a team of experts that you work with, I always call it a symphony. My closing attorney, my lender, and my inspector, and my tradesman, and we are a symphony. We work really well together, and that's in part a huge thanks to and a testament to BNI. These are all folks from BNI.
I was in my first chapter in BNI. Your closing attorney was in there, Jeremiah. So
Yeah,
I've not talked to him in a couple of years, but that was the first time I got to be around a closing attorney just to learn that part of the world, and it was interesting. So glad
yeah.
you guys connected. He's a good guy.
His
Jill,
yeah. Go ahead.
no, you finish.
Well, I was going to say his attorney in his office, Sam Iden, is one of our newest members in our chapter.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Wonderful. All right, Jill, we've enjoyed having you on the show today. We wish you the best of luck with your real estate empire, your ideal hospitality procurement empire, and also with the breast cancer survivors group that you're doing. And I know that brings you great joy. So loved hearing about all three of those. And they can get you at North Carolina Pro Realty ncprorealty.com.
Yes, ncprorealty.com.
All
Yes.
right. So, folks, you need an advocate if you're buying or selling. Please go find a realtor. And Jill's number's been on the screen throughout the show. You've got it there. So, Jill, we wish you luck with everything and glad you came on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. You have a great day. I appreciate it.
And we'll see everybody next time on Triangle BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.